Here is our JSON file. It just has some heroes. I kept it very simple, just 4 properties: ID, name, hero type, and code. And what I want to do with this list, I want to be able to get the list, view the details of one particular hero, update and delete. And these skills are very important because in most applications you will be doing these operations. Add, update, delete. So let us see the end user experience and then slowly go through how we achieve it. So the end user experience, if you want to run this, you go to the app.js, right click and say run. So when you run it, it will say, okay, the server is listening on this particular port that we have selected as developers. So I can visit that page. When I go there, the function that is listening to the root, to the slash, is the one that generated this text. Now I'm not interested in this. I am interested more into seeing how the end user will interact with the heroes. So I'll take that URL, I put it in here, heroes.html. So first thing I do when I go to this page, I fetched all the heroes from the file and I displayed them. And I had an option to add for, like, let's say display, edit and remove. I have like a link associated with each object. This is very common in web design. You have the object on which you want to do some action, and you put the action inside the object. This way you don't do too many clicks. Like for example, I could have done, in here I could have done just 3 buttons. And I have here some kind of radio button somewhere to select the object I act upon. But that will involve 2 clicks. But this one involves 1 click. So the less clicks, the better. And this is very common, like with your, for example, with your Outlook, with your, let me see, if you are, here, let's see, hopefully Outlook will open. Okay. Yes, you can see here, you have the email item, and you can act on it. You can right click and delete, or you can delete. So kind of, but in here it's still double, like two clicks, but we want it to be 1 click. In many scenarios 1 click is much better as a design, but there are many other ways of doing it. At least for now you learn this way until you find a better way. Alright, now here is show. When I click, the details of that selected hero will be shown. And then if I select another one, the other one will be shown, and so on. If I do edit, here edit I should have a pop-up form to edit it here. That's the next step. It's only 1 line. You don't have the chance yet. But for now it's fine, it's down there. It's not the best user experience. If I showed it as a pop-up form, it would be much better. But it's fine, at least it's working. And I can change it the way I want. Let's say I can, let's say, fix this, use another spelling. For example, I'm just, alright, and I can go down and update it. And you can see it is updated here. Okay, let's say in here I can do the same. I can remove it. It's removed. Removed? No, it didn't. I didn't test this one, I think. Let me see. Did I implement this? Maybe I didn't even implement this. But on the server side I did. I will show you. We can implement that last one together. So here is the idea. Like, what you need at this stage is to really train yourself to do similar things for other objects. You can create students, whatever. So let me now quickly go through the code so you have a full understanding before I let you do it. Just grab it and then we take it from there. So, all right, here it is. So definitely I have a server side and I have a client side. Usually I will start with the server side. I will implement it, test it, and then I will build the UI and make the UI work by interacting with the server side. And as I mentioned in the morning, as I go, I test as I go. I don't test at the end. Of course, at the end I do end-to-end testing or integration testing, where I test all the whole use case is working. But as I build the units, I test those units separately. Okay, so first of all, as I explained this morning, you create a repository. And this repository is a class that has the methods to read and write to the file. And this you have seen that this lab did not before, 2 labs before. So all this class is doing, it puts all these functions to read and write to a file into a class, and then export an object out of this class, out of this file. Then my goal now is to expose this functionality and to make it available through the web. So to do that, I have to put another file. Usually people call it app.js or index.js. And then I start thinking about the URL design. It's a very important skill. Another item that you need to worry about when building a web application. You need to think about your URLs, how you will call them. So at least kind of people have agreed there is, in your application, you will typically have 2 interfaces, one for users and one for other programs. So the functionality that is that you intend to make available for programmatic use, you put it under API / the name of the object. Remember, when I said on the server side, if you recall the discussion, on the server side I have resources. All right? And resources are nouns, not verbs. Resources are nouns. Student, book, teacher, product. They are nouns. So typically, the typical URL design is that you put API. This is where your programmatic access will be available. And then you put the name of the resource. Never put a verb. Never put, like, for example, add book, or delete book, or add student. That's not a URL. The URL is all about nouns. So you put the name of the resource that you want to manipulate. In our case, we want to manipulate heroes. And usually we put it with plural, with S. And then, if somebody comes here, they will get the whole collection.
Yes, JSON format, right?
Yes, in JSON format. So whenever we say here API, whoever is coming here, they are expecting the JSON format because they want to consume it or make use of it from another program, either a mobile application or maybe another web application, another web page. Okay. So, and in here you can start navigating your way down. Here it gives you all the heroes. If you want only one, you do slash and you provide another parameter. Okay? Like you could do, for example, this we keeping this simple, but in real life, I might have here hero 1. I can do here slash codes.
The code of that.
And I get all the codes for this one. Mm-hmm. See, the URL design is another art that you need to learn. Mm-hmm. But for now, let's keep it simple. The main thing you should remember, URLs give you access to resources, and resources are nouns. Where are the verbs to manipulate the resources?
Get and put.
The HTTP verbs are the ones we use to do what? Manipulate and interact with these resources. If we want to get this resource, if we want to get it, we use get. If you want to create a new resource under this URL, you do post. If you have already one at your hand and you changed it, you can do put, or you can do delete. Now there are other ones, but I will just mention them. But don't worry too much about it. There is also another verb called options. Another verb called options. If you want, you can implement it, but this is part of the 80%. Don't worry about it. If I go to a URL and say options, it will tell me what are the verbs this URL supports. Does it support put? Does it support get? Does it support? So yeah, I'm just asking what verbs, what verbs I can use to interact with this URL. There is another one called patch. Patch. So the difference between put and patch, put, it takes the object and replaces an existing one. It replaces it entirely. While patch is just changes a couple of elements on that object. So don't worry too much about it. At least two will not. There are other verbs not really very commonly used. These are the most commonly used. This is to read. This is to create, update, and delete. Okay. The other thing I want to discuss is this one is not repeatable. Post is not repeatable. If you repeat it, you might end up with two options. That's why browsers, I'm sure you have noticed, sometimes when you submit a form, the browser will, when you refresh, the browser will warn you. It will say if you do it, you might end up with some undesired state. Like for example, if you are booking a ticket and you refresh while posting, you might end up with two tickets, two books over. So post is not repeatable. While put is repeatable. This is another more deeper difference between the two. Because what put does, put replace. If you replace, you keep replacing, no problem. It's like doing here. Look, post is like doing x plus equal 1. Let's say x equal 5. This operation is not, if you repeat it, you have side effect. Every time you repeat it, x will go up. While put is something like x equal 5. This one is repeated. You repeat it 10,000 times, there is no side effect. You see the difference? So post is unsafe to repeat. Put is safe to repeat. So if you have some operation that is unsafe to repeat, use post. Because people know, they will think twice before they call your URL again with post. But if you advertise it with put, you are telling people, by the way, feel free to repeat, there is no side effect. Because whenever you tell me to put, I will replace whatever was there before. In more scary term, this one is called idempotent. It's not repeatable. Okay? And this one is non-idempotent. It's repeatable. Anyway, don't worry about the term. Maybe it's not very important. What is very important is post is unsafe to repeat. Put can be repeated. Okay, so to summarize, URLs are nouns, not verbs. So don't put verbs in your URL. Don't fall into the trap of putting here add hero, get hero. No, it's a noun. Where are the verbs? We use the HTTP verbs to interact with the URLs, and this makes REST services very universal. Very universal. Same verbs, all the resources of the world will interact with those same verbs.
So this way we can have two identical URLs, but one with get and one with post, for example, and they work separately, right?
No. I didn't really get your question.
يعني for example we have a URL called heroes and another one called heroes, but one for get and one for post.
No, well, the idea is to have one URL.
Okay.
So basically, the idea, if you really want to think deeply about what the web is nothing but a set of resources. Resources could be books, heroes, courses,
Yes.
and these resources are available at certain URLs. So each resource has one unique URL.
Okay.
Now, you come to it and you interact with it using verbs.
Yes.
Now you choose one of these verbs depending on what is your intention, what action you want to do with the resource. Of course, you as the server side, you also need to think. Do you want to allow all these verbs or just really want to allow some of them? Depends. For example, like maybe, I'm just thinking loud. Like maybe a resource, or maybe you want to secure some of them. For example, let's say these news, these are Al Jazeera news, so they have /API/news. So the public can do get, but put on post and delete, this is only internal, maybe through some other application. So these are how you interact with the resource. You as a developer on the server side, you need to think which ones you want to provide, and which ones will be public, and which one will be private and secure. But both of them, all of these operations, they deal with the same URL. Okay? Is the idea clear? Okay. So now let us just now have a look at how it is.
Doctor,
Yes,
just make it a bit larger,
the font. Okay. All right. Sorry, let me just. I want to put this one to charge. I'm not sure it's not working. Just. I will put it to be charged a little bit. Okay, here it is. Okay.
Thank you.
Does it look better?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, good. Now, here is my app.js, and let me now show you for the get I think it's clear, so let's not spend much time on it. So here is the get, very simple. This is my URL, and I explained the story of this /API.
Yes.
It's just a convention. This will give you all the heroes. This will give you one particular hero. Now, we've seen this. Now let's focus more on the post, put, and delete. Okay. So in here I have done them a little bit differently because I felt that this file is keep growing with lots of functionality. By the way, this is not the best organization, but for now we want to take things gradually. Once we are very comfortable, then we can refactor this and organize it in a better way. But at least what I did this time, I pushed all the functionality to this map inside the repository. So when somebody comes to put and sends a post request to this URL, I go ahead and call this function add hero that is in this repository, just to keep this file as compact as I can. Now, if somebody wants to do put, I call this method update hero. Notice here for put, I don't use the root URL of the resource. I use the URL of the specific resource I want to replace. As if I'm saying, please take this object, go to the URL of this object and replace whatever is in there. That's what the semantics. Basically, these verbs have very, very clear, well-defined meaning. So when the people standardize this and they define these verbs, they give them very, very clear meaning. And they all agree on the meaning. So when I say put, everybody understands that put is replace whatever is in that URL. Okay. Now, delete is the same thing. I have to be very specific what I want to delete. While post, I cannot be specific because I don't know the ID. By the way, that's another difference. With the put, you know the exact resource URL where you want that you want to replace. While post, you have the object, but you don't have the ID. Usually, the ID is decided by the server. After the server creates the object, it will be decided. And by the way, a good design, it's not in here yet. A good design is when I create an object, I send you a status code, not 200 OK. I send you another one called 201. 201 created. And I send you another header called location. And I give you the location of the new object. So it's so amazing the way they have designed this protocol. And by the way, when this protocol was designed, the programmatic use of it was not there at that time. So when HTTP was designed, it was mainly designed for human usage. When you request pages and you post forms. That's what it was designed for. And then the programmers gradually, they discovered, yes, it can be used even programmatically. It has very rich semantics. So they're very precise. The status codes are very precise. 200 OK means everything went fine. But for posts, you better send back 201 created. And if you really want to be even perfect, send another header called location and give them the location of the new resource. Okay. I haven't done it here, but inshallah I will do it in the final version. So let us have a look now at the post, how it works, and then we will test it, and then we take it and use it in the web page. So here is the ad. So I'll go there. Okay. Now, in here, first of all, in the add hero, it might not be the best way, by the way. But for now, this is working fine. It's fine. I'm sending the request and the response as parameters to this method. I'm saying if you need anything coming from the client, get it to yourself from the request. When you finish, please use the response to send it. Okay. Now, in here, in the post, I am sure the new object that the requester is asking me to insert and to create will be in the body of the request. Remember, with HTTP, as I explained last time, HTTP is all about request response. Okay? And both of them, they have header and body. So the header is more about protocol. Is more about some lines that you put in your request to satisfy the rules of the protocol. The body is where you put the data that you want to send to the server, or the server wants to send to the client. So definitely, when I ask somebody, please take this hero and add it to the heroes list, I put that new hero in the body, not in the header. The header has get or post with the URL and some other headers that we will see. So definitely it is in the body, and here I take it and put it in this variable. In here, thanks to that middleware that we discussed this morning, body parser, the body parser already intercepted the incoming request. It took the body and converted it to JSON object. So already the body is a JSON object. Alright. Now, what I need to do here, because we're not using a database, so adding and removing, it's back to very primitive. So if I want to add, I have to read the whole file.
Then rewrite it.
Yes, add it, add the element, add the new hero or the new object, and then rewrite the whole file. And we are not trying to make it optimized because this is only for learning. Next step, we will use a database. Much easier. Yes. Much easier. But we will use a different database, not a relational one. We will use a non-relational database, where it's take JSON and store it as it is. Not without putting it in a table first.
But in our homework, we're still using this, right?
Yes. In homework we're still using this. In the project, you will use a database.
Okay.
But you can use files if you wish, but database is much easier. Okay. So, all I'm doing here, have a look. I go ahead and read all the heroes. So this is a promise, I get the heroes. And then I am using this function here. It could be implemented in a better way. It's just to get the last hero ID and add one, to generate the ID.
Yeah.
Remember, IDs are generated by us in most cases. The client does not generate the ID. You didn't decide your student's ID. The system decided. So you decide other information, but the ID is generated on the server side. So here is one very simple strategy of generating. I go through all the heroes, get the numbers, and get the map. This will give me an array of numbers. And I'll add one to the last one. Okay? Not that there is a better way, but this is what I'm allowing you to. And then here I'm just displaying it. Before I store it, I assign an ID to the hero. Have you seen this? See the hero when it came here, it did not have an ID.
Yes.
So I generated an ID and added to the hero. And then it is now time to, what I did is, because this is an array, I add one element to the array using push.
Yes.
And then I write back all heroes to the file. That's it. Because this one is also asynchronous, so this is a promise. So I return it and then do it then. Usually I do this then to compose promises. I hope you still remember this idea of composing promises. And the way you compose it, when you finish one promise, you return another promise. Okay? And here, the write will not return me anything, because the write is just saving the file. So once it's done, if there is an error, I will send a 500 status 500. Because remember HTTP codes, the 200, if you see 200, you are fine. If you see 400, it is something to do with the client. The client is to blame for the client. If you see 500, the server is to blame. If you see 300, means something, the resource you're looking for has moved. I've moved to another location. So 2 is fine. Anything starts with 2 is fine. 3, it's moved either temporarily or permanently. Temporary for service, and then later as they tell you, please go to this other location. If temporary and come back, you will find us back. Or permanent. Some, let's say some faculty has moved to another place. Their page, they can put a permanent redirect to another page. 400, if for example 404 not found, it is your mistake to request something that does not exist. It's the client's mistake. And 500 is the server mistake. And the most common one is 500 internal error. Server will not tell you its secrets why the error. At least it tells you there is an error, and I confess this is coming from them. Okay. So this is basically the function. Now, if everything goes okay, which is the 10, remember the 10, I will send here 201. 201, and I send you back the hero. In here, this is not the best. I should have sent you the location. So I work on this one. To really, the most accurate way, when you tell me, please take this object and add it, what should I reply to you? 201 created. And I should tell you another header in the response location and give you /API/hero/5 or 6. So you can take that and verify it if you wish. You get the idea. Now I'm just giving you the whole object back. The only difference is you will see the ID. And when you on Hero, you will see the new ID to generate. Not the best, but it's getting there. Is post clear? So before we move, we need to test it. We need to test it before we move forward. Now, for testing it, sorry, you want
Yeah,
to
I
say?
said that we need to test it.
Yes. So for testing it, we don't have the time to write a form to collect the input and then post it. Because using the plain browser, I cannot easily test post. I can test get. How do I test get?
Just go to the URL.
Just go and type the URL, press enter, and the browser will generate a get request. Yes? Now for post, how you will test it?
We create a new. We can create. We try to add, and then we refresh. We see if it's added or not.
But
You
how
go to the
we will
location.
add it?
Location.
How we will take some data and put it in the body of the request and send it off to the server to test.
Maybe using the test repository.
And the browser.
No, here is the service now.
Okay.
So there is a service up and running, listening on /heroes, and it's waiting for posts. Okay? So let me show you one more time. Here is the app, if you remember. Here is the app. It has / if somebody came in using post and they came to this URL, I will send them to this function to handle their request. Now, how do I test this?
I test add hero function.
Okay, suppose I tested that one. Yeah, you're right, yes. But I want to test it now from the browser. Plain browser will not help to do that because you have to write some kind of form, a little bit of script to take the hero object in this scenario and post it to the server side. But luckily, there are tools, plugins to browsers that helps us to generate these post requests very easily. One of the most famous ones, a very nice one, is called Postman. You just type, Google it, post, here it is. Here's the name, Postman. So you go there, you open it, a very, very nice tool. It will allow you to test any REST service out there. So here is how it looks. So first let us test get. Here is get, and I will ask for all the heroes. And basically I do send, and I get all the heroes. This one, no added value. We know how to do this using plain browser. But where it comes very, very useful, let me take another hero here. Let's say copy this one. And instead of get, have a look. I use instead post. And sorry, not this one. I will post the same location, but I will say, oh, by the way, I want to put somebody in this post. So here is I want to send a raw information. It is in JSON format. Okay, and basically in here, I don't need to put the ID. Anyway, let's keep it the same information, but it can be, of course, different. And then, just notice here, this one is very important header. See the requests, it says like this. Post to this URL. Add one more header. This header is very important. It tells this, it's called content type. It's telling the server, by the way, I am sending you JSON. So every type of information, it's like a data type. String, or image, or video, or Word document, or PDF. Every media, we call it media type. Every media has a type. And this type is standardized. People have agreed on this, on the name of these types. So JSON is the name, the data type of JSON in the web standard is called application/JSON. It is also application/XML. There is text/HTML. There is text. There is image. There are other types. Let me see if I can see. Hopefully they are here. No. see here are the types. You don't need to worry too much about them at this stage. The most important one at this stage is JSON. Okay, those are part of the 80%. This is enough. Just remember, this header is very important. What this header tells the server?
In what format?
In what format the body is. So that's it. These are the three pieces of information I'm telling the browser. I'm telling the server side. I am sending post request to this URL, and through a header called content type, I am telling the server side, by the way, the data format in the body is JSON. And then now it's just time to send the request. So when I send the request, you can see here, alright. If I can, okay, let me put it this way. Okay, you see here 201. See here 201 created. If I did the nice job, I should have seen headers here. One of them will be location, but I didn't have it. And here is what has been returned. Remember what was returned? This is the new ID.
Yes.
So there's a proof that it is there. And there are some other headers that came back. Let me see. It says here the content type, the content length. This is the server reply. The server has auto-generated these headers. It's telling the browser, or telling this tool, by the way, the body, this is the length. This is how many characters in the body, 226. And the content type of the body is also JSON. And it was typed, and other stuff, don't worry too much about at this stage. The most important at this stage is the content type. Very important for the browser, very important for the server. The browser needs it to know how to deal with the content, and the server needs it to know how to process the content. So if you forget that header, your service might not work, because it might not know what you are sending it. Okay, that's for post. Now let us do another get, and just let's get that one that we just created. Here it is. Send. And we got this one back. So now I can fix it, and let's say I do another put this time. But when I do put, I send it to a particular URL, not to the heroes. And here, header must be content that content type application.json, and in the body, I will put this. Okay, and I change whatever I need to change, and then send it off. And I got 200 OK. As you saw here, 200 OK, hero updated successfully. Okay, now let me go through let us do the last one, delete. Same thing, delete is super easy. Just select delete, here it is, delete. You give it the URL, that's it. Send, and hero deleted. If I try to do, I don't know if I try to do get again, if I implement this correctly, it should give me 404, but I'm not sure. Not found. This is not good. It's fine. This message is okay, but this is not good. It should have told me 404 not found. You see? So let me now explain the put and delete, and hopefully you got the idea. All right. So here is the update. The update is very, very similar to add. I'll go there. So in update, first I will get the ID of the item I want to update. Why do I get this ID? To be able to update that particular header. In here, because I'm using files, unfortunately I have to bring all the information in an array, look through them, look for that particular hero. Once I find it, I replace it. You see here why put is replaced. I replace it with the new hero. And I don't need to continue because I found what I want. I break from the loop. Once I break from the loop, and then I basically I write of course I write the file back, and I say 200 OK, hero successfully updated. Okay. Now for delete, here is the delete. Here is delete. Almost the same. So the way I do it, of course I have, unfortunately, because of files, I have to read all, look through, and I need to find the index where that hero lives in that file, in that area. And then I use the famous splice. Where is it? Here. Splice, I say, please go to this location and remove one element. Gone, and it's time to save the file. When I save the file, I basically come back and say 200 OK. If something goes wrong, I tell you 500 and give you the error. Now let's just fix that last one, which is, if you remember, it was not delete, it was get one particular one. Okay. In that one, I have implemented it slightly differently. Here it is. So in here I should send, I should say dot status. Not the best, but anyway, not bad. 404. Anyway, it's fine. Something like this. It's not as bad as it was. This is not very good, by the way. 404 is only if you really looked, and you didn't find it. And there is another case where you try to look and some error happened. It's two cases. So in the first case, you should send 404, and in the second case, where there is some server-side error, you should send 500. But for now, at least we will make it 404. Not as bad as now. It tells us 200 OK. Okay. All right. Now let us try it out. Of course, whenever I do a change, I have to restart the server. At least now it's saying 404 not found. So when you do response dot status, give the status code, dot send, and then if you wish, if we wish to send further details. It is clear. So now our REST servers are fully working. I tested them with no coding whatsoever using Postman, and I can do post, put, and delete, and it's all fine. Now it's time now to hook it up with the user interface. Remember, we had heroes. We have beside each one there is show, edit, and delete, and we have add. Now we need to glue these things together because we don't want to give our Postman to our end users. It's not very user friendly. This is for developers to test their API. A very, very useful tool, by the way. Whenever you use some API, like Google API or Facebook or Twitter API, you can test it here and understand it here without writing any code. And then once it's all work, once you are confident, you go and program it, do programming. To do this, to do whatever we have done with Postman, to do it programmatically. Okay, so let us now see how this is working. So here is our hero file. This is always we have the HTML, and behind it there is JavaScript to drive it. So far, as I explained, all what I explained was on the server side. So the only things we mixed. All we have been discussing is JavaScript on the server side, running on Node.js to provide us this web server functionality. Now we are back to the client side, where we want to make use of the server-side REST services, make use of them, and call them from the page. So the HTML provides us the view, the visual interface, and behind the page there is JavaScript that will drive the actual functionality. So it basically responds to events. When the user says add, you execute that. When the user says delete, you go and execute it, and so on. So it's basically making your application interactive, dynamic, and doing something that needs some kind of computation. Okay, so let us start maybe with add, which is maybe more simpler. So add, again, this is not the best, but it's fine for now. What I'm doing here, on click, I'm calling this add hero. And this add hero is, of course, in the JavaScript behind this HTML. Here is the JavaScript, and here is the add hero. I think I should be able to navigate. Anyway, it's fine. No problem. Here is the add hero. Okay, here is the add hero. So add hero, what I'm doing is, remember that this morning I showed you the form. Very simple form that has name, code, and a drop down to select what type of hero it is. So in here I'm using exactly the same template, compiling it, and here I'm doing a little trick in the template, saying, oh, by the way, here is an empty hero, because I don't have one, this is a new. So I'm using the same template for updates and add. You follow?
Yes.
Let me show you the template. Because I don't want to have two templates for the same thing, because usually add and updates are exactly the same. Okay, in terms of visual interface. In terms of behave, is a bit different. So here is the form, how it looks like. Of course, shortly I want to take these templates and take them out of this HTML. It's becoming too long, but at later stage. For now, I'm putting all there. Here is the form, if you remember. It just has this hidden. This one is just to put the ID of, in case of edit. In case of edit, this one will have a value. In case of add, of course, this one will be empty. Because I sent an empty object to this template, so it will say, oh, there is no ID, so it will be empty string. There is no name, it will be empty string. And there is no code, it will be empty string. But if I'm in case of edit, I have an object, it will show. So I'm using the same template for both cases. So that's it. This is what the template is doing. And there is a submit button down there. Have a look. There is a submit there. And the submit calls this function called save hero. Okay. Again, not the best way of doing it, but it's fine for now. Because there are too many moving things. There is a better way of doing it. When I say better way of doing it, really the HTML should not directly talk to the script. HTML should be plain, clean HTML. The script should grab the HTML element and listen to it. But for some reason I didn't manage to make it work, and because of the time. But I'll fix the next version will be better. All right. So here is the here is the add. See, the add, it does nothing. It basically generates an HTML form, generates a form, and stick it on the page. Next version you will get, it will pop up as a form inside your page. Okay. Now, when the user fills up the form and submits, which function is called? Save. So let's have a look what save does. Of course, this is one way of doing it. There are better ways. Always there are better ways. But this is good enough for now. What I'm doing, using jQuery, although I can use plain JavaScript using document.getElement by ID or document.query, and I can get the value of a particular input field. But with jQuery is much compact. I say, please go to this input and get me the value. Go to this input and get me the value. Go to this input and get me the value. Using these values, what do I do with them? construct an object. This is the power of JavaScript. You construct an object on the fly. You see here? That's it. I construct an object on the fly. Here, what I am doing, I am putting. Okay, now I assume it is add, unless if I can prove it otherwise. So with add, this is where I will send the request, and the method will be post. Now, how do I know if it's add or update?
Depends on the
ID.
new ID.
Very good. So you see here, I go and grab the ID. Remember the ID in the hidden field?
Yes.
Okay. Now, if there is an ID, what does that tell you?
It's
An
an
update.
update.
It's an update. If there is no ID, what does it tell you?
It's a new.
It's a new. Okay. So, if it is an update, I change my assumptions. I change my method from post to put. I, in the URL, instead of sending it to all heroes, I add the ID to the URL. Have you seen this? Okay. And then I add the ID to the hero itself.
Yes. I was going to ask you because there is no after the year there is no ID. How to know which one you will update?
Yeah, I do that if it is
If it is update.
Yes, it is update. And basically, I use this very, very simple trick to distinguish between the two. And here is just all about reusability. I want to reuse that form. Now that form is simple, 3 inputs, but sometimes forms have 20, 50 inputs. I don't want to repeat all that stuff. When I say all that stuff, I have to repeat the validation logic, I have to repeat a lot of stuff. This simple technique, I can distinguish between the two scenarios very, very easily. Okay. Now, I have everything now is ready. It's time to push to the server side. So, to push, we use this same exact function to read, which is called fetch. So, fetch, it looks a bit different this time. So I say, okay, here is the URL I want you to go to, and then I open an object to pass the parameters to fetch. I say, this time I want you to use either put or post, and I want you to put this content type. Otherwise, the server will be complaining. You will not know what I'm sending. And by the way, if you don't put that header, it will not work. Because I have a body, I forgot it. The body will be empty. Remember on the server side, I have a request on the body. If you don't put this header, it will be empty. So what is the role of this header?
Yes.
To
You direct him to the right
let the
side.
server know the type of the button.
Yes. Tell the server, by the way, be aware that the body I'm sending you is of type JSON. Okay? And then I stringify the object that I constructed above and send it off in the body of the request. That's it. I am doing exactly the same what I did in Postman, but programmatically. Okay? That's it. When I fetch this, it will be saved on the source. Is clear? Now, the delete, very simple. Although the delete, there's one more thing. I should always something kind of bit dangerous. I should warn the user. I should ask for confirmation. I'm not asking for confirmation. This is not very good as part of the good user experience. But I will fix that. But for now, when you click, it just goes and removes it. It should not do that. It should first ask. So here is the delete. Where is delete? Where is delete? Here is it. Did I do delete? No, I did not do delete.
Because when they clicked, nothing
Yeah, it
happened.
didn't-
Nothing happened. Okay, no problem. So which one is closer? Maybe this one is closer. So let me, although it will delete, of course, will not be as complicated as this, but it is the closer. Okay, closest, yes. Here is Control C and Control V, and then I will basically make this one delete hero, but I will ask the client to give me the ID. I'm not going to basically put effort into getting the ID. So the hero ID, I'm expecting it to come with whoever calls this function should supply this. Now, I don't need all of this because I'm deleting it. All I need is to construct a URL and send a delete request. That's it. Nothing else. So to do this, although Fatima, she's not convinced, I'm still going to use it. Here it is. Here it is. I'm going to use this one. Yes. And hero ID. Alright. That's it. I can put delete or I can put it directly in the code. No problem. Alright. So here, this is just for debugging, so I know what's going on. It is delete. I usually, when I debug, because a lot of things I debug, I usually put the name of the function I'm debugging and the variable. So when I see it, I know what it means, from where it's coming. Okay. And then it is basically time, although I prefer to just put this one delete. Problem. Alright. There is nobody, no header. We don't need all of this stuff. We basically do it this way here, because for really I want to keep it super simple. Even one line, if I can remove one line and it works, is better for me. Okay. So this is the minimum. Of course, I better put that one there. This is now nice. I like it this way. That's it. This is the delete. Very simple. Construct the URL of the resource you want to delete and issue fetch to that URL, but tell the fetch to use the delete verb, not the get verb. By default, fetch will use the get verb. This is how you tell fetch not to use get verb, you use delete in our scenario. Now it's time to call this one from the server. Yes. No, sorry. From the HTML. Not the best, but for now it's fine.
Have we done it in the server?
Yes, we tested it even in Postman. So server is fine. We're just trying to do it on the client. Here it is. So here we are. Okay. Where are we? Yes. Here. In this template. Yes. I should see something like this. I will just copy this because it's the closest. Here is my delete. I will have a better version later, but for now it's fine. Let me remove this. And here I will do delete hero and pass this ID. Okay. I will just restart. I don't need to restart the server because I only changed the HTML. I didn't change the server implementation. So I can now go there, refresh this. Okay, I can remove this. It will not be removed from the interface. You have to do extra coding. But let's see if it's at least removed from the client. If I refresh, I should not see the last one. Okay, it's removed. So there is one more step, is to delete that line. I will do it in the next version. I have
Maybe we just refilled it.
no, this is much easier. You basically go to that row and delete. If you refill the template, it is more work and it takes longer. And you might need to go back to the server. So you delete that particular row from the table using very, very simple script, one line of script. Let me finalize it in the final version. In the final version, you get a couple of things. Add and edit with, and even show maybe. No, show and edit. Add and edit will show as pop-up form, and it will, when you submit, it will auto-refresh this list. And delete should ask you for confirmation. When you confirm and it's done successfully on the server, it will remove that line from the server. Okay? And that way you will have very, very simple but realistic implementation that you can take and adapt to our scenarios, which is you will do right now. So,
regarding the going to specific line, I think we need it for
sorry?
we need it to read the, for example, the request. it for the assignment. يعني go into a specific row and read it. We need it for the assignment.
Go into a specific role
In the table.
for the
For
one.
the drop-down project for the decision project. That's it. So we read the decision.
From the role.
Yes.
Okay, yes, that's what I'll have an example for that. It's very easy to do. I will show you some techniques to do it. With jQuery is very
Yes.
easy. Yes, I will.
Should mean that when she reduces and show, the rest will disappear and show.
Yes, you can do that. But the next version I will post, we will use pop-up forms. They're very easy to do. Yeah, that is fine. I understand. So basically, it is still all what you see in one page. There is a library of the jQuery UI. Because in here, let's say this is one line to make that div pop up in form. And that's form we can make it a model form. Model form means the user will not move from that form until they finish it. So you can do it. As I will explain in this version, it's a clear example how to do it. So now let me see what scenario you can work on.